We all love comeback stories. We read books about failing fast and learning from mistakes. But what if you fail so badly that your entire nation is about to be erased from the map? What if your mistake got thousands of your own people killed? Your textbook taught you about Alexander the Great. Your history class told you about Sir Francis Drake. But what if I told you the greatest impossible victory in military history was intentionally hidden from you? This is not a story about super weapons. This is not a story about a born genius. This is the story of a man who was a total failure and how he used that failure to build an unbreakable mind. This is the desperate focus strategy. And today, I will show you how to use it. The year is 1593. Korea is burning. The Japanese samurai, armed with Portuguese muskets, the most advanced weapons on earth, have crushed the Korean army in weeks. The capital is gone. The king has fled. The nation is on its knees. The Japanese are enraged. They have just been pushed out of Seoul, and they want revenge. This isn't just a strategic assault, it's an emotional, furious swarm. And now 30,000 of these seemingly invincible warriors, an all-star team of Japan's most ruthless generals, are moving to finish the job. Their target? A small, pathetic-looking dirt hill called Haengju. And who stands in their way? Not a massive army, not an elite guard, just 3,000 people. Farmers, monks, even women. Led by one man, General Kwon Yul. The odds aren't bad. They are impossible. 10 to 1. This is a rounding error. This is a massacre waiting to happen. So what did Kwon Yul do? Did he pray for a miracle? Did he beg for reinforcements? No. He smiled. Because he had something better. He had a secret, a memory. The memory of his greatest, most humiliating failure. You see, we think of heroes as chosen ones. People who were destined for greatness from birth. That is the first lie your textbook told you. Kwon Yul was a nobody. He wasn't a military prodigy. He wasn't a warrior. He was a scholar. He spent his life studying philosophy and poetry. And this is the secret everyone misses. Think about his childhood. While all the other sons of noblemen were obsessed with archery and honor and promotion, Kwon Yul was the strange kid, the quiet one. He was invisible, and he used it. For 40 years, he just watched. He wasn't just reading old philosophy books. He was studying power. He was studying human nature. He analyzed why arrogant leaders fail. He obsessed over how fear spreads through a crowd. His whole life, he was a student of failure. He wasn't learning how to be a warrior. He was learning how a warrior's mind breaks. His ego wasn't tied to being a great fighter. He just had the data. So when he finally joined the government, he didn't even join until he was 46 years old. Think about that. In an era where life expectancy was short, he was a late bloomer, a bureaucrat. He already understood people. He already understood psychology. He just didn't understand war. And when the war broke out, he learned his first lesson the hard way. Just months earlier, at the Battle of Yong-in, Kwon Yul was part of one of the worst, most shameful defeats in Korean history. A 50,000-man Korean army was shattered by just 1,600 Japanese. Let me say that again. 50,000 versus 1,600. How is that possible? Kwon Yul watched it happen. He saw the 50,000 men acting as a mob, not an army. They were arrogant. They had no central command. Everyone wanted the glory for themselves. And he saw the 1 in 600 samurai. Disciplined, focused, unified. They cut through the Korean army like a scalpel through soft flesh. He watched his own men panic. He saw them break. He saw them slaughtered. He tasted the bitter ash of total, catastrophic defeat. But here is the secret. Pay attention. Most people are broken by failure. They are defined by their trauma, but the hero is built by it. That failure became his crucible. In that fire, he didn't just find shame. He found clarity. He learned the single most important lesson of his life, a lesson that would change history. He learned discipline eats arrogance for breakfast. He learned a unified 3,000 is infinitely stronger than a divided 50,000. He didn't just learn this. He became the lesson. So when those 30,000 arrogant samurai charged, he wasn't haunted by the ghosts of Yong-in. He recognized them. He saw his own past failure wearing the enemy's armor. And this time, he wasn't the victim. He was the executioner. He returned. He faced 30,000 samurai with 3,000 civilians. This is where the legend becomes fact. Now, why do we love the super weapon myth? Why do we want to believe this battle was won by the Hwacha, the fire arrow launcher? Because it's easy. It means we don't have to be smart. It means we don't have to be brave. We just need better tech. And that is the most dangerous lie of all. The Japanese also had super weapons, thousands of Portuguese muskets. On paper, they should have won in an hour. No, the real secret was Kwon Yul's mind. It was a perfect three-part system. First, he didn't just fight the enemy. He fought his own army's fear. He knew his 3,000 men were terrified. They were farmers, not seals. So what did he do? He didn't just give a speech from a safe tent. He lived with them. He ate with them. He slept on the same frozen dirt. The Seonjo Sillok, the official records during Joseon dynasty, describe him as a master of psychology. He wasn't their general, he was their father. He gathered them, looked them in the eye, and told them the truth. They have come to kill your families. We are the only thing standing in their way. There is no retreat. There is no surrender. There is only home. He didn't offer them glory. He offered them survival. He took their fear and he focused it. He turned their panic into a cold, desperate fury. This wasn't just an army. This was 3,000 people who had already accepted death. And a man who has accepted death is the most dangerous opponent in the world. Second, he didn't find a good position. He created one. People think Haengju was a defensive battle. This is the biggest mistake. It wasn't a fort. It was a trap. A report from the U.S. Army Command and General Staff College analyzes this as asymmetric ambush defense. But it was even smarter. They spent weeks building a 10-foot wooden palisade, digging trenches, and this is brilliant in the freezing February weather. They covered the slopes in mud and water, which then froze. The 30,000 samurai weren't just charging uphill. They were ice skating into a meat grinder. Kwon Yul, the scholar, had turned a simple hill into a custom-built death machine. He forced 30,000 men to fight as 300, funneling them into choke points where their numbers were useless. He didn't fight their war. He made them fight his. Third, he didn't just kill their soldiers. He killed their will to fight. This battle wasn't one fight. It was nine. 9 separate, full-scale assaults. All day. The first wave charges. They slip. They slide. They are met by a storm of arrows and stones. They break. The second wave charges. The samurai are furious. They are met by boiling water, burning oil. They break. By the 4th, 5th, 6th wave, the Japanese are in disbelief. This isn't a battle, it's an insult. And then the crisis hits. By the 7th wave, they were out of arrows. This is it. This is the moment a normal army surrenders. The main weapon is gone. But Kwon Yul wasn't leading a normal army. He looks at the women, the civilians. This is where the Haengju Chijamun, his own victory report, becomes legend. The women, the wives and daughters. They tied their aprons to create makeshift slings. They ran to the front lines and filled their aprons with stones. This is the killing blow. Imagine being an invincible samurai. You've survived arrows and fire. You finally reach the wall, and you are stoned to death by farmers, by monks, and by women. The official Japanese record, the Jonghanil-gi, doesn't describe soldiers. It describes fighting Guisin, which is a ghost. It describes a hell of fire and stone. Kwon Yul himself, in the middle of the smoke, was beating the war drum, refusing to move. The Japanese commanders stared at this madness. They weren't fighting an army. They were fighting an idea. By the final charge, the Japanese weren't defeated physically. They were humiliated. They were broken mentally. They ran. They didn't just retreat. They fled. They abandoned their armor, their expensive muskets, their pride. 3,000 had broken 30,000. The failure from Yong-in had just achieved the impossible. So what is the 1-minute insight? What is the strategy we can steal from? Kwon Yul. It's this: your failure is not your past. It is your weapon. The man who won at Haengju needed the man who failed at Yong-in. That failure taught him what no military textbook could be. That arrogance is a trap. That unity is a force multiplier. That weapons don't win wars. Psychology does. That victory isn't about having the best tools. It's about having the most desperate focus. You lost a client, you failed a project, your business collapsed, good. You now have the data. You now know what doesn't work. You have seen the enemy's face. It is the face of your own chaos, your own fear. Kwon Yul looked that fear in the eye and he used it. That is the strategy that changes everything. 30,000 samurai, 3,000 civilians. The victory at Haengju wasn't just a battle. It was the pivot point that saved a nation from extinction. It was proof that the size of your army or your budget or your title doesn't matter. What matters is the mind. And here is the craziest part. This story, the story of the failure who became a legend, is barely known in the world. Your textbooks will not teach you this. They will keep telling you about the 300 Spartans. I'll see you in the next episode.
What do you choose?